Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of GDDV 501, Lighting and Rendering. My name is Kasanis. Guys, this is going to bring us to the end of week 4. We've had a ton of videos this week and hopefully you watched them all. If you're in my class, hopefully you guys watched them all because they're all pretty important. Today, what I'd like to talk about is the idea of shot angle. We've talked about how we frame our shots. We've talked about the composition. Let's talk about the angle in which we shoot our shots. All right, let's get started. So, shot angle or camera angle, that's what we're talking about today. What angle do we want to take our shots at? We've talked about the idea of what's within the frame. We've talked about how much detail we get depending on how close we are to our subject. Let's talk about the idea of what angle we shoot at, and particularly the dramatic effect that this can have as far as emotion or a feeling evoked within your viewer or your player. We're going to talk about 4 different ideas: the camera at eye level, the camera at a high angle, the camera at a low angle, so shooting upwards with low angle, shooting downwards from a high angle, or the idea of a tilt angle or a Dutch angle, and that's when everything is kind of askew. Okay, so let's start today with the idea of the eye level shot. And as the name implies, the camera is placed in line with the character's eyes. It's right at the same level as the character's eyes. It is as if they're looking directly into this person's eyes. We're not looking from up, we're not looking from down or anything else. We are exactly on the same level, as the name implies. And basically what this does is it makes the viewer feel more comfortable with the person they're looking at, right? We feel like the person's peer. There's not a whole lot of emotional impact as far as this particular type of shot are concerned. But the characters which we're looking at through this eye-level camera feel more friendly. They feel more approachable, right? We're able to empathize with them better. Moving on from that idea is the high angle shot. And the next 3 shots are the next 3 angles, I should say, are the ones that are most important as far as an effect on the viewer. So with a high angle shot, the camera is placed well above the actor's head and we're looking down on the particular subject. So we're up high looking down on this particular subject. And what it's supposed to do, we are supposed to feel that the character that's being looked at from this high angle is vulnerable, right? They're weaker in some way. Maybe they're childlike in some way. But can also go further than that. And instead of us empathizing with that particular character, we can make that person feel small or insignificant. So a great example is from the movie Avengers. And we've got ourselves a high angle camera. We're looking down on our heroes and they've already gone through this huge battle. They're already exhausted. They're filthy. They're dirty. They're hurt. And now they're facing an even larger threat. And when we're looking down, we're supposed to empathize with these characters. We're supposed to feel their pain at the overwhelming odds that are piled up against them. That's what we're supposed to feel for them. That's for them, not about us. We don't feel that way, but for these characters, we feel for them. They're overwhelmed and they're tired already. So let's take a look at the idea of a low angle shot. And a low angle shot is the opposite of a high angle shot. The camera is placed below the subject's eye line and looking up into the face of the subject or looking up at the subject. And this has the opposite effect. So instead of feeling that the object we're looking at is insignificant, instead we as the viewer feel insignificant or small, that what we're looking at is really giant, really large. It makes the object that we're looking at feel more powerful. And again, this goes back to the 12 principles of animation. I know. So 12 principles of animation, guys, you know what? I'm just going to tell you right now, go and learn them. If you don't know them, go out right now and study the 12 principles of animation because they're just good for just everything in life. Anyway, so it's all about staging. If we take a look at the 12 principles of animation, staging is an important part of the 12 principles, right? And the angle at which we're looking something is about the staging as well. Yes, staging is the composition of the shot, the content of the shot, but how we're looking at it is also extremely important, right? It talks about status, the idea of status. Something that's high status is big and important. Something that's low status is small and unimportant. The Avengers in that particular shot previously have a low status. They're small and unimportant compared to this huge invading army. Similarly, if we want something to look big and mean and nasty, we shoot it from a low angle. the Terminator is high status, right? We take a look at this person. He's huge, he's muscular, he's powerful, he is high status, right? This is a powerful character. This is kind of what I look like, just so you guys know. That's almost an exact picture of me. Anyway, a low angle shot makes the things that we're looking at more powerful. A high angle shot makes things that we are looking at more vulnerable. So I want to take a look at a great example of both high and low angles that are kind of used back to back. Let's take a look at a clip from the film Misery. So guys, this is a short clip from the film Misery. If you haven't seen it yet, we've got a character, Paul. He's a writer, and he writes a series about a character named Misery, and he's writing the final book. And he gets in this car accident in this film. This is a really old film, 1990, it says up there. But these are spoiler alerts anyway. Paul writes about this character Misery, and he's written the final book about Misery. And he's going home after writing. He always goes on this trip whenever he's writing the book, the final page of the book. And he's on his way back from this little vacation, and he gets in a car accident. And he wakes up, and he's been hurt really badly, but he has been taken care of by this nurse. And this nurse is his biggest fan. She suggests she's his biggest fan. And she's nursed Paul back to health. And while she's nursed him back to health, Paul has agreed to let her read the book, the final book of Misery. And in that book, Paul has killed off this character, and this nurse, who's a crazy person, in turn flips out and says, you can't kill Misery off, you can't kill her, and is now keeping Paul captive in this bed as he convalesces. He's strapped down so he can't get out and that kind of stuff. So that's where we are, and I'm not going to say anything else. In fact, what I've got in this particular clip, I've got the sound turned back on so you can hear the sound as well. I'm not going to talk through it. In fact, I think that you will understand when we see the back and forth between these high angle and the low angle shots. You're going to understand what I'm talking about when I talk about power and status, right? Paul, who we're always looking, we can see Paul right now. We're looking down at him from the nurse's point of view. Whenever we look at the nurse, we're looking up from Paul's point of view. So we're looking downwards at the low angle at Paul. We understand how vulnerable he is. We understand how much trouble he's in. And whenever we're looking at the nurse, we're looking up at this nurse, and we can feel her power. We can feel her power over Paul. All right, so we're just going to watch this clip. I'm not going to say anything about it. We'll talk about it again at the end. Here we go.
What?
You've been out of your room.
No, I haven't.
Paul. My little ceramic penguin in the study always faces due south.
I don't know what you're talking about. Ceramic penguin.
Is this what you're looking for? I know you've been out twice, Paul. First I couldn't figure out how you did it. But last night, I found your key. I know I left my scrapbook out. I can imagine what you might be thinking of me. But you see, Paul, it's all okay. Last night it came so clear. I realize you just need more time. Eventually you'll come to accept the idea of being here. Paul, do you know about the early days of the Kimberley diamond mines? Do you know what they did to the native workers who stole diamonds? Don't worry, they didn't kill them. That would be like junking a Mercedes just because it had a broken spring. No, if they caught them, they had to make sure they could go on working. But they also had to make sure they could never run away. The operation was called hobbling.
Amy, whatever you think about doing, please don't do it. Hey, God.
Trust me,
God's sake.
it's for the best.
All right, guys, I'm going to cut it off right there. It gets super violent at this point in time. Just so she knows, she breaks his legs. She breaks both of his ankles. That's what she does. And I'm not going to show it because that's particularly violent content, and I don't need violent content on this particular channel. So, guys, that is Misery, and I hope that you're able to see the power that the one character, the power that Annie has, the nurse has, over Paul, right? Paul looks insignificant. He looks scared. He looks weak. He's strapped down. All of these things. Annie is very high status. Paul is very low status. And the angles in which we always view them help us to understand that. We understand that all the power lies with Annie, and all the weakness or all of the vulnerability lies with Paul. Okay, guys, so let's move on from the high angle, low angle, eye level to the idea of the Dutch angle / Dutch tilt shot. And the difference between this shot and the others is it's not really referring to the angle at which we are viewing our subject. Instead, it's referring to the angle at which we view the horizon. And with the Dutch angle or the Dutch tilt shot, the horizon is tilted. It's not level. It's not level. And this tilting of the horizon often causes us to feel uneasy about what we're seeing. A lot of times within film or within games, this tilted horizon is used to show drunkenness, intoxication, or madness of some kind. That's the entire point. In fact, we often see this in games when we've drank a potion in an RPG. We've drank a potion that made us feel ill, and instead of our character walking straight, the entire horizon kind of wobbles back and forth, right? And that's supposed to indicate to us that we're drunk, and it makes us feel uneasy. It makes us feel a little bit disoriented, right? Whenever we have this happen to our character in any games, it makes us feel this particular way. So a really great example of the use of the Dutch tilt is from the movie 12 Monkeys. And again, in this particular film, well, you know what? Let's take a look at the clip. So in this particular clip, this is from the film 12 Monkeys, and we are in an institution with the two main characters. So Bruce Willis is a man from the future, and he has returned to the past, or he has come to the past, I should say, in order to try and find this army called the Army of the 12 Monkeys, who in the future were believed to have destroyed the world through the releasing of a virus. I guess that's that's really meaningful today, I guess, isn't it? Anyway, no conspiracy theories here. Anyway, guys, so in this particular sequence of shots, what happens is Bruce Willis has been institutionalized as well with Jeffrey, and Jeffrey is ultimately one of the 12 monkeys, or the leader of the 12 monkeys, actually. I won't go into it further than that, but Jeffrey as well is inside of this mental institution. Both of them have been institutionalized, and what they've done within this film, it's an older film, 1995, what they've done in this film is they've utilized the Dutch angle or the Dutch tilt to reinforce the idea of mental illness in this particular case, to reinforce the idea that these characters are mentally ill, to reinforce the idea that they are in an institution and that everyone around them is also mentally ill, right? That's the entire point of this. So I'm going to let you guys watch this shot, and I'm not going to talk over it. Just watch the horizon. Watch the horizon line, and watch how much it's tilted throughout the entire thing.
Television, all right there, all right there. Look, listen, kneel, pray. Commercials. We're productive anymore. At least to make things anymore. It's all automated. What are we for then? We're consumers. Okay. Buy a lot of stuff. You're a good citizen. But if you don't buy a lot of stuff, what are you then? I ask you. What? Mentally ill. Back, Jim, back. If you don't buy things, toilet paper, new cars, computerized blenders, electrically operated sexual devices, stereo systems with brain-implanted headphones, screwdrivers, miniature built-in radar devices, voice-activated computers.
Take it easy, Jeffrey. Be calm.
Right? That's right. You're a very attractive woman.
Okay, guys, so hopefully you could see just how tilted the horizon is, right? We can even see it in this shot right now where I stopped it. Look at how tilted it is. And again, this is supposed to make us uncomfortable, right? Something is strange in the world. Even if you didn't recognize it right away, even if you didn't look in the background and say, hey, the camera's all tilted, you know inside whenever you see this, you know that something is wrong, right? You feel uncomfortable in some way. And that's what this Dutch tilt or this Dutch angle is meant to do. All right, everyone, that brings us to the end of this particular episode. I hope you liked it, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something, right? Eye level, no real emotional impact. We're comfortable with this person. We feel like they're friendly and approachable. If we're looking down on someone from a high angle, they feel weak, they feel insignificant, we feel powerful. If we are looking up at something from a low angle, that object feels powerful, it feels large, we feel insignificant in comparison to that particular object or person. And lastly, the idea of the Dutch tilt, where the horizon is tilted in some way, making us feel uncomfortable, making us feel like something is wrong, making us feel disoriented. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know down below with a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down is perfectly fine. All right, everyone, I love to hear from you. Give me some comments, okay? I love to hear from you guys. Thumbs up, thumbs down, comments down below, and if you haven't done so, please take a few seconds to subscribe. Have yourselves a wonderful day, everyone.